you might as well let all 100 die.
If 100% of the world was vegan 50% of the time, that is the same as 50% of the world being 100% vegan. So it's the same result. Having everyone make more vegan choices is making a difference.
I'm sure you've heard some variation of this before, and today I'm going to tell you why the opposite is true. But before that, I must ask with all my sincerity, what does it mean to be 50% vegan? If Queer Kiwi is watching this video, I would sincerely love an answer. But for now, I'll have to guess. Presumably, it means something like you get 50% of your caloric needs from plants. And if the entire world did this and got 50% of their caloric needs from plants, that would be great. It would be like half the world being vegan. Except it wouldn't be, because we're already doing much better than that. Currently, 83% of the world's caloric needs comes from plant-based food. And even then, this is a horrifying moral atrocity with hundreds of billions of victims every single month. By Queer Kiwi's logic, this is the same as 83% of the world's population being 100% vegan.
I think this is just a misunderstanding on his part. I think what she means is that if everybody went 50% vegan, it would mean that they cut out 50% of the animal products that they use. And so therefore it would be the same amount as if 50% of the world went vegan. Now, there is one element in here that is an issue, which is if 50% of the world went vegan and that 50% happened to be the ones that ate the most animal products, then that would actually do less harm than having everybody cut it in half because some eat less. But if you just, for this hypothetical, just went with the idea that it wouldn't be like that, it would just be random selections. In fact, it would probably be more so the opposite. So actually, she's probably more right than she thinks she is, because if 50% of the world went fully vegan, that 50% would likely be the ones that eat less animal products anyways. So if you had the whole world go 50% vegan, then when you cut it everybody's in half, then the ones that eat more meat getting cut in half would actually make the number lower. So aside from the idea of the snowball effect.
So it's the same result.
But it's not. And here's why. If 83% of the world's population were vegan, then vegans would have enough political power to pass legislation and abolish animal exploitation. By the way, if you are finding this video to be insightful, a sub to the channel would be powerful.
I agree with that sentiment. If you are liking this, please subscribe to the channel. And he's right. If you have that many people on one side, then there's more political power. So yeah, that's right.
Anyway, let's continue. Once you get to 25% of the general population adopting a social change, further social change occurs rapidly. The process of getting to this 25% point is slow and gradual, but after that it picks up due to the snowball effect. This 25% point is known as the tipping point for social change. References are in the description, and also shout out to my friend Catherine for pointing this out in her detailed video responding to Queer Kiwi, which she published earlier. And hence, soon after we had reached this 25% tipping point, we would be able to abolish animal exploitation. And this really is the entire problem with reducitarianism or flexitarianism. It gives the illusion that progress is being made, that fewer animals are being harmed. But if we continue down this path, then we'll end up with a world that is like 50% vegan 100% of the time, and no one really wants animal liberation. And the animals will perpetually be in that scenario, generation after generation.
Okay, well, for one, when you say the animals will be in that, you are forgetting the fact the ones that won't be there. So animal production has to do with what's in demand. So if you got 50% of the world or 100% of the world to go 50% vegan, then that would cut out half the animals that need to be bred into this situation. So the animals won't be, but some animals would be. Okay, so there's a handful of elements that you're right about and wrong about. So you're definitely right about the snowball effect. Now, I didn't know the tipping point of the 25%. That's very fascinating, and I'm going to look into that further. But it's definitely true that as something becomes popular, it just gets more and more popular and more acceptable, which is why we see big changes. And hopefully we will see big changes with animal stuff too. Here's where you're wrong. If somebody is not on board for being vegan and you convince them to cut out half their animal products or to cut out the factory farmed elements, so they just do like grass fed or something like that, getting them to do the little bits they can is way better than nothing, because that's not a person you are going to get to be vegan anyways. So when we talk about 100% of the world being 50% vegan versus 50% of the world being vegan, in her world of 100% being 50%, it doesn't even exist, because vegans that want to be vegan aren't going to become 50% vegan. They're already vegan. So I guess in a sense she's wrong in a couple senses, but I think she's more right than you are. She is wrong in the sense that her hypothetical can't exist unless you convince vegans to go not vegan. But what she's right about is if she's pointing out that there's benefit to somebody cutting out half the animals they eat, or even less than that, there's benefit to people doing like meatless Mondays or something, then that only affects the people that aren't already vegan. So if you're already vegan, you're vegan. If you convince somebody to go vegan, they're vegan, and that's great. It's not going to be, I mean, it's possible that if enough vegans were talking to non-vegans and saying anything's better than nothing, don't eat meat on Mondays, or cut out half your meat consumption, or be pickier about what type of meat you get. That way there's a better effect on how they were treated, or something like that. There's a chance that kind of talk could make some vegans that are on the fence become not vegan again. But I mean, they're on the fence anyways. Somebody that doesn't want to eat animals because they think it's wrong to eat animals is not going to stop doing that. So none of this is going to affect the snowball effect. The snowball effect and the tipping point of 25%, that's going to happen when you hit 25%. And so let's say we were at 5%. I don't think we are, but let's say we were at 5%, and there's going to be another 20% to come. There's another 75% of people that eat a lot of animal products. And if you convince them to eat a lot less, then you're cutting out a lot of suffering while we work towards this big change. Like, you're not going to make the change happen by not cutting out the suffering. So why add more suffering? You're just being against the idea of reducitarianism. I don't know this thing. I heard it for the first time with this idea. But I don't know the full idea of it. But if it at all involves somebody going from eating a bunch of meat to not eating a bunch of meat, that should be something any vegan should be in favor of. I cannot see how it's not. If you have 100 animals suffering and you can make it be only 25 of those 100, that is good. Now, it's not good that the 25 are still suffering, but if you had to pick between 25 or the 100, you pick the 25.
Generation after generation. To those individual pigs and chickens and goats, it does not matter whether or not 99 other chickens or goats or pigs are killed.
You are correct. If you have 100 pigs and you save 99 of them, that one that dies, that to that individual, that saving the 99 means nothing. But here's the part you're missing. Please listen to this part. To the individual of each of the 99 that were saved, that 99 means something. Your statement, and seems to be a wild amount of vegans, have the statement that if the one dying wouldn't be happy about the 99 not dying, you might as well let all 100 die. If that's not what you're saying, then say what you're saying better.